What's up, family? Welcome to another episode of Men versus Ego. Today, I got a special guest. He is a friend, he is a brother, and he just retired not too long ago. But with that being said, he's a spiritual believer. He's a smart guy. He reads books, almost the same ones I read, and he actually recommended a book to me, Laws of Human Nature. There's really no need for introductions. My friend Jeff.
Appreciate the introduction, man. Um, yeah, it means a lot. Thank you. I wanted to applaud you, first of all, for, thinking through the tough times and bouncing back with Man versus Ego. I know a year ago you started it, and it had been a while. And I wanted to applaud you for kicking off 2025, with your promotion and your videos coming out more consistently now. And I just wanted to give you your flowers for that, bro.
Namaste, my brother. And I know we talked about making a podcast a while back, man, but life, procrastination, you name it. But now we're here. 2025 is off to a great start for, I would say, both of us, man. And it's the little things we got to stay grateful for, It's the little things, man. But today's episode is episode 7. It's going to be spirituality and the mental health. I know that's a big thing for us, man. How does spirituality and mental health go hand in hand to us? I'll let you say your piece, Jeff, and then I can come on after you're done, brother.
Well, first I wanted to start off by defining mental health and spirituality, right? Because it's important to set clear what we mean when we talk about these things, or what I mean. So for me, mental health is basically just a person's overall emotional, psychological, and social well-being, right? It encompasses how you think, how you feel, and how you act in response to life's challenges and experiences. And when it comes to spirituality, I know for the most part, I don't think most people understand where spirituality really comes from and its origins, right? So it comes from Latin, the Latin word spiritus, and it basically means, literally, it means breath. It means breath or vital principle, which goes into my next point, but I want you to go into what it means for you before I dive in too deep and I don't give you enough of the floor. But they go hand in hand for sure, because because spirituality to me is like the breath work, right? It's when you're conscious of yourself and your surroundings, and you're conscious of what we all really are. We're all human beings at the end of the day, and we have to treat each other with, respect and kindness and everything that you are deserving of, right? So when it comes to mental health, I know that, being conscious of my breath, being conscious of my breathing, it helps center myself into calmness, and it helps my mental health at the same time. It helps me just bog down and not worry about the small stuff anymore.
Okay. Yeah, man. I would say mental health and spirituality are what we call philosophy, man. And that's the combination of both. If you have a philosophy, it means you have like a belief in something, and that philosophy can be anywhere from you always helping out somebody, or maybe every Sunday you go to church, or you practice your own religion. It could be a whole sorts of things. That's what, in a nutshell, man, that's what I call spirituality and mental health coming together. What's your philosophy? What's your go-to? What's your shield? What do you do when you take a knee? What is that? But that, for me, in my opinion, man, it would be philosophy. It's a combination of mental health, resiliency, and spirituality. And it's cool that you knew about the Latin word spiritus, because not that many people knew about that, man. But that's what's up. I think this is gonna be a good episode for people to when they want to view it, to know a little bit more stuff about this. So
Absolutely, man. Know where things come from, the past, so we can, better shape our future.
sure, man, preaching to the choir here. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, man, take the reins, man. Well, I know you gave us a definition, but what is it? How do they go hand in hand? Did you really hit that topic? Maybe not. Anything else to say?
I feel like, okay, so when it comes to mental health, right? When it comes to your overall emotional well-being, right? A lot of times life kind of throws things at you, and you're forced to just react to these different things. And I think that the spirituality aspect, like I said, the breath work, it goes hand in hand with those aspects of like life throwing things at you. Because if you get too focused on just reacting to things, if you get too focused on just the next thing and then the next thing and then the next thing, and you kind of forget to consciously breathe, because you can't really forget to breathe. It's something that you just do, right? But when you forget to consciously take each breath like it's your last almost, everything kind of slows down for you, and you're able to see things with a different type of, like through a different lens almost. It's like you're focused on how you actually want to react to these things instead of just naturally whatever your reaction is, which may be good or it may be bad in some situations. When it comes to like psychological, again, it's kind of like these things where if you focus too much on your outer world, you you can forget to take your breaths as you should be. And again, you could be doing things that are detrimental to your psychological mental health. And it's the same thing with social well-being. You could be facing anxiety. Like sometimes I get social anxiety. Like I'm naturally an introvert. So being around a lot of people constantly, sometimes like my battery dies down. I'm like looking at the clock, like, all right, man, it's time to go. But
Yeah.
when you get back on your breath and you forget about those moments of like anxiety or things going on that you just feel like you can't control, or you literally can't control. You focus on the things that you can control, which is again your breath. And going back to my point, that's where it all kind of ties in for me, is that breath work leading into your next steps or your next move or the way that you're thinking about things or whatever it may be. And also to add on to that, because it's not just your breath work, right? Because I might sound like, well, a little crazy to some people, like, oh, you're just thinking about how you breathe, but you also have to have the right principles in mind. And that's the other part of spirituality, is the vital principle of, remembering that we're all here together at the end of the day. Like, we all are living our lives. We all have things going on. We all have things that bother us. We all have things that we can't control. And it's all just a matter of understanding each other and seeing kind of eye to eye with each other, like understanding that when you really look at everyone, everyone is kind of like a version of their child self. Everybody has traumas that they haven't dealt with. Everybody has things that they haven't fully healed from. And those experiences that they might have might be causing them to do something that pisses you off, or that makes you feel a certain type of way, or that makes you anxious, or that makes you whatever, right? And once you remember these vital principles of doing the work for you to understand each person, or at least kind of see where they're coming from, and then focusing on your breath again, you can kind of empathize with each person, and it might save you from getting into trouble or saying something you shouldn't or ruining a relationship or whatever it might be. So they definitely go hand in hand in both aspects when it comes to your breath work and also your vital principles. They go literally together, and they go hand in hand with the mental health, like I just mentioned.
Okay. Oh man. I don't even know where to begin, bro. But I'll add my 2 cents to everything you just said. We as humans sometimes will meet people who we don't really mesh with. We don't care to be at the same party as them or at the same event. Basically, in a nutshell, we don't like them because they're this way or that way. We have nothing in common. Next time that happens, ask yourself, we do have a lot in common. And then yourself will be like, well, how so? Well, first of all, we're both gonna die at one point in time. Death is inevitable for anybody, whether you're rich, whether you're poor, whether you're any kind of race, it's inevitable. That's one. Secondly, we both eat food, we digest food, and we extract food in the other one, It's the ancient philosophers had a saying, memento mori, which means in a nutshell, to meditate on death, to know that you're not immortal. You are mortal. You will die at one point in time, right? So posthumous fame Everybody who wanted posthumous fame, all their fans, all their people who adored them, they're now gone too. You know, and
Yeah.
I would say as a human race, we have a lot in common with each other, most more than people think. Just to add to your caveat of things, man.
Exactly. I agree.
Did we leave anything off that we should have said, man? That you feel like should have came up?
No, but I do want to add to what you were mentioning about death. And I think it's important to kind of meditate on death and to really like grasp it. Cause I know for myself, right? I found myself kind of like forgetting that at some point I'm going to die, or just kind of like brushing it off. Like, oh, it won't be today, so I don't need to worry about it. And I might go and spend a month, a year, 2 years just thinking like that. Well, it won't be today, so I don't have to think about it. But the truth is that literally at any given moment you can pass away, right? And that also is a huge factor when it comes to my spirituality and my mental health, because it brings me to a point where a lot of the smaller things that I'm worried about or might be stressing about or might be anxious about, in the grand scope of things, it's very small, right? Like at the end of the day, I don't think anything is really worse for me, like in this life, than to die, right? So if you meditate and you make peace with that fact, it kind of makes your life kind of like, for me, it made it very different. It made it to where I do things that I want to do. That's not to say that I'm going to do things that are going to put me in a detrimental space, but I like to do things that, I would want to do. Like let's say, instead of not putting on those sneakers because I want to wait for a really good moment to wear them, I'm going to wear them today, because you never know, right? Like that's kind of, I got that from my sister. She said something like that to me when I was a kid, and it kind of stuck with me. It's like, you never know, right? Like just wear it. Just get it, in certain situations, like clothes or whatever, or something that you might want. Like sometimes you just got to do it. Like just do it to just live, have the pleasure of doing those things, and enjoy life really for what it is, and not just the monotonous, problem after problem, reacting, problem after problem. Give yourself some kind of like incentive, like, like something to get you going and keep you happy and things like that. So it is important to go back to what you were saying about the death thing and how we're all going to die, to really think about it. Like, really, we're all going to die. Like, what you said to that person, are you okay with that being the last thing you ever say to them? Are you okay with how you treated that person, with that being the last way they remember you? Like, are you okay with wearing what you're wearing right now, and that could be the last thing you wear, or eating what you're going to eat, and that be the last thing you're going to eat? Like, kind of looking at things that way, maybe not to an extreme all the time, but to just think about it at least. Like, hey, like, you know what? Like, I don't really like how this is going. I think instead of thinking about it this way, I should think about it this way, because I don't want to, like, I do care about this person, and I don't want them to feel like I'm this, or I don't want what I'm saying to come off like that. And kind of just to remember that you're going to die at some point, and you never know when it's going to be. So might as well leave things right.
Dang. Okay. Do I even need to like go into further detail with that, man? You basically
Oh,
bashed
yeah.
you on the head, bro.
I mentioned something about death, and it clicked in my head. Like, wow, that's something that I needed to go into at least a little bit, because it's important. It really is important.
Yeah, man. I didn't know I like philosophy until I started reading Meditations. I said it in my previous episodes with other friends. Like that book really changed my viewpoint on life in general, man. Just to share real quick, Marcus Aurelius, right? The author, if you will. It was more like notes than a book. Not really a book, but they made it into a book. He says, when you're laying down in bed and you wake up and then you're so comfortable, you know, but is that what you're brought here to earth to do? To be in bed, lay in bed and get on your phone and be comfortable? Well, back then they didn't have phones, but you catch my drift. Well, look at the birds. The birds are doing their whatever the birds are have to do. The bees are doing whatever they have to do. But you as a human being, what are you doing? You're laying in bed, like you're comfortable, you're slothish, you're lazy, you just don't want to get up, but you're so comfortable. But is that what you're brought into this world for? And as a human being, you got to do the same thing as the birds and the bees have to do. You got to do your work. Whatever you're made to do on this earth, you got to do it, man. And that for me, like I'm like, dang, okay. Whenever I don't, I'm feeling good in bed, and I remember that passage. I'm like, dang it, he's right, he's right. But yeah, man. Talk about breath work too. That's a big thing for me. I know you spoke about it earlier. I follow Edgar Tolle a lot. He's a great spiritual teacher. Wrote a couple books, and he speaks about breath, you know, and stillness, and just be the observer of your emotions. Don't let your emotions rule you. Whenever someone makes you mad, just and they keep talking, you keep yapping at your whatever they caused you to be mad or whatever. Just like take a breath and know that you are complicit, which means that you agree to be mad. Whatever they're telling you, you're agreeing with them, and that's what making you mad. You don't have to agree with them. You don't give your, and lack of better words, you don't give your power away to them for them to make you feel some type of way. You can still be stoic. You can still be you. You don't have to raise your voice. You don't have to punch them. You don't have to do anything. You just, yeah, okay, man, keep talking. I hope you have a good day, you know? But yeah, man, if you want, like we can move on to the other one, which is how did life shape your mental health at this age? I know we're older. We've both been through our personal things that we had, you know, that shaped us into the person that we are now. Anything you want to share with us, brother?
Well, there's a few things that I'd love to dive into. For one, is I vividly remember when I was a kid, I remember thinking to myself as a kid, like as a child, and I had to be like 7 or 8. I remember thinking to myself that I already know everything. I'm just remembering things. And that ties into a different type of spirituality, more of like I guess it is still spirituality. It's the principle that we've been kind of like reincarnated, or we have the divine consciousness within us already, which means it's kind of like it's a shared consciousness. Like everyone already, like you have the consciousness of everyone at your disposal already. And as a kid, I didn't think all of that. I just thought what I just mentioned is that, I already know everything. I'm just remembering things. And as a kid, like, growing up and the normal society norms, like you can't do certain things and certain things you don't know and certain, just shaping normal societal shaping, kind of dismissed that idea from my childhood mind. But as I got older, I kind of realized that I was kind of right. As I did more research and I looked into different things and the divine consciousness, like I mentioned, I learned about that. I was like, damn, as a kid, I remembered that. I remembered saying that to myself and thinking it, and I was right. And that ties into kids are kind of like the most consciousness when they're very young, right? They have the most consciousness, and then it's kind of like society that waters it down for them, right? And that's my first point. We can dive into that later if you'd like. But what really shaped my mental health at this age was a vital moment in my life when my parents took me to Dominican Republic. So my parents are both Dominican Republic natives. They were both born there, and they took me over there. I was born here in America, but they took me over there to visit family, our extended family that lives over there. And when I got to see how people live in other countries, it severely humbled me. Like when I say severely, it might sound like a bad thing, but like when I say severely, I mean like just greatly shaped my view of life in general, because all I knew was America and how we live in our first world problems, right? Our problems of oh, this person is making me mad because they're not moving fast enough, or because they're not doing this, or because very like stupid things that we may be angry at or stress over, or little things like that. When in other countries, people don't have running water. People don't have consistent electricity. Like when I was in Dominican Republic, I remember vividly like the power going out. And I was an avid gamer at the time. Like I was like 7 or 8 years old, and I had my game with me, and I'm like, damn, like the power just went out. How am I supposed to get mad at my game because I'm not winning if the power just went out. So it kind of like, it set more real life problems that are more important than, this game that's not going my way because I'm not playing it right. That now I can't even play this game because the power went out. Well, besides this game, what if I was doing laundry? Now my laundry can't get finished because the power just went out, right? What if I was cooking on the electric stove? Now I can't finish cooking because the power just went out, right? This is a place where most people don't have running water. Like, you would have to go to the back where there's, big tubs, big barrels of fresh water. You would have to get your water from that to take a shower and everything. Like, it really, really changed my perspective on life. I'm having to take showers, like cold showers. I was not used to that. Here in America, everybody has hot water, right? So not being used to taking cold showers, the water coming from a bucket, not from the faucet, right? And different things like that just really, really changed my perspective on life. And it made me very grateful for all the things that we have here in America, like consistent electricity. And if it goes out, look, most of the time it's going to come back within a couple hours. In Dominican Republic, it might go out today. It might not come back till tomorrow. It might not come back till the next day. It might come back in 10 minutes. You really never know. So it kind of forces people to be more social. It forces people to, just go outside and do other things and not worry about electricity or like that, not really rely on it. Same thing with Wi-Fi. There's not a lot of Wi-Fi. It's growing now, but as a kid, there wasn't any really Wi-Fi, or internet was kind of dial up. It was very slow. Just a lot of first world problems that they would look at me like, what? Like, it made me very grateful for what we have here. And coming back to how did life shape me at this age, it reminded me that there are people that have never experienced those experiences that I went through, that people that have never left this country, people that don't know that in other places they don't have these luxuries. I'm sure they've heard of it, but it's different to actually live it, right? To actually go through these things that I've went through. And they have very small first world problems. Like, oh, I didn't get as many likes as I wanted on this, and that like ruins their mental health. And now their whole day is ruined. And now they're stressed about, oh, well, people don't like me because I didn't have that many, like, just giving examples, right? Like, this is probably someone feels this way, right? And that's a first world problem. Instead of worrying about, how am I gonna get water if we don't have any water right now, kind of
Yeah.
thing, right? Like, or what am I gonna eat? We don't even have any food. And that shaped my viewpoint in life in general, is kind of just to not sweat the small stuff that much, like all these first world problems, and to really appreciate what you have. And going into my last venture that I was just in, it's about to be a year that I left the Army when I retired. In the Army, I noticed kind of a similar theme, where in the Army, there's a lot of benefits to being active duty in the Army. A lot of benefits that a lot of people don't know, and a lot of people will not take advantage of, or not ask the right questions, or not look into things, go their whole entire contract, not take advantage of anything, and then get out and still not take advantage of anything. And it's kind of like going back to like that appreciation thing. It's like people don't appreciate what they have. Like, if you meet anybody else in a different country, like, I met a guy from Kosovo. He was in the Kosovo army, and he was telling me about how they don't get paid as much as we do. They don't
Yeah.
have free school. They don't have not even half of the benefits that we have when it comes to their military. Their government doesn't have the funding to take care of their veterans or their military personnel like we do. And he wishes that he had the access to the different things that we have. And that kind of ties into what I was mentioning, the theme of like, other places have far less. People die to come here. People literally die trying to get here.
Yeah.
And the people that, just to take advantage of some of the benefits that we have, and the people that live here are so ungrateful, are so, just don't know what they really have. And it's kind of like spoiled. Like, we're all kind of spoiled here. Not everyone, but a vast majority of people are spoiled. Like, you don't really know what you have until you don't have it anymore. And that's a big factor on how life shaped my mental health. It kind of just reminded me, hey, what are you really worried about here? You have running water, you have electricity, you have a car, you have a great career, you had one, and now you're outside and you're working on different things to get you further. There's very little room for me to be ungrateful or be really angry at different things because I'm blessed, right? Like I'm really blessed to be in this position. And I think for sure that's the biggest thing.
Okay. All right. Let me give you some morale. What's it called? When you're there, moral support, brother, because that was deep. It was deep. And I don't know if you saw my last episode. I had my friend Ben from New York. He mentioned gratitude, right? Gratitude, man, for the little things. It's gratitude is a very powerful emotion. It when you feel gratitude for the little things, you'll be surprised how more things pop up out of the nowhere. Opportunities, of you name it. When you show a little bit of gratitude, it's like, dang, like is this what life's about? Like the little things, man. Having hot running water. You mentioned you lived where you went to Dominican Republic where you had to go outside and get the barrels. I bet you that water was cold. Like, bro, it's the food in the place. We can go down here, go to Panda Express, McDonald's, I don't know, some Italian restaurant.
Yep.
There's people who don't have that opportunity, man. So be grateful for what we have. Show a little bit of gratitude, a little bit of grace, and just think about like how blessed you really are to be living, if not the most richest country in the world, with all these opportunities, man. And I know in the army, in the military, we both share the fact of going to the field and not being able to shower constantly, or getting not the type of eggs that we want, or maybe the generator goes out or whatever. Now we have to wait until it comes back on, or you name it, man. I'm not going to try to preach to the choir here, but it made me think about like, dang, I don't really have it that bad. I have a house, I have a shelter over my head, I have food in my kitchen, I have hot running water, I got tons of shoes that I can choose from. Like, what am I
Yeah.
complaining about? What am I complaining about, man? But I didn't get this mindset until later on in life, man, when I really went through the ringer with some stuff. But out of there, I couldn't have done it thanks to those obstacles in my life, the negative ones. My gosh, it's like the yin and yang. Like every negative has a positive and every positive has a negative. And for me, it's like I got to see, thanks to the negative, I got to see the positive of it. But yeah, man, that's my viewpoint on that one. And thanks for sharing your story back in the
Yeah, of
DR.
course.
Man. Appreciate you. Spirituality and mental health while serving, man. What's up with that? I know we used to get, hey, we got to do CQ. Hey, you got to do this detail. Hey, last minute, man. You could have had plans. You could have had all this stuff with your girl, with your boys. But because of last minute poor planning, you are now faced with like, hey, you're the lowest ranking, man. You better take charge of that. You better do it. And it's
Yeah.
like it throws a wrench in your plans, man. How did it shape that, man, for you? How did that serving shape your spirituality and your mental health? How did that help?
Well, for me, going back to what I mentioned about the being grateful thing, it wasn't that hard. Like, of course, it sucks when you have some plans and it kind of just threw a wrench in it. But when you really think about it, like, hey, for one, I signed up for this, and two, it's putting bread on the table, right? Like, this is what's paying me. So it's kind of like one of those situations where it's like you shouldn't be that upset about it because A, you signed up for it, and B, they're paying you, right? So this is something that you just need to take care of, right? It's part of your occupation. It's something that you knew, right? Even since basic training, like you knew that at some point you're going to have to be uncomfortable. You're going to have to wake up in the middle of the night and put your uniform on and stand by the door and make sure that there's no fire all night or for an hour, right? You're going to have to do that. So this is something that you already kind of got trained into. So it wasn't that difficult for me. Going back to basic training though, I wanted to mention that that was probably like the most uncomfortable that I've been while in my military careers because it was the separating of my normal civilian self into a soldier, right? That's when you go through all of your trials and tribulations, right? And I knew that I was going to go through some tough times. So I knew to read about things that would help me, right? And one book that really helped me was The Secret. Right before I went into basic training, I was reading The Secret, and I was also reading it during, because I remember they allowed us to keep a book. So I was like, okay, I'm going to keep this one. And in that book, they mentioned that, you are what shape your reality. So the more negative you think, the more negative you're going to get. So I trained myself while in basic training. I was getting trained by the drill sergeants, and then I was also training myself mentally to just be tough and to, don't sweat the small stuff. Like I was in Fort Leonard Wood when I went to basic training, and I actually happened to be at basic training during the coldest cycle from October to December. It's the coldest cycle in basic training that you can get. And I remember just standing out there, standing in formation, parade rest or whatever, and just getting smacked with the cold and, people moving around and, trying to stay warm, but you can't really put too much snivel gear on because they see it and they're like, you'll take that off or whatever. You can't put a hat on. If it's not cold enough, you have to keep your PC. And I remember I would tell my battle buddies, I'd be like, yo, like it's hot out here. Like just picture that you're in paradise right now, that you're on an island. You're standing in parade rest on an island. It's actually pretty hot out here. And people would look at me like I'm crazy, but it really helped me, to just kind of just keep thinking that to myself, like not worry about how cold it is. Don't feed into the idea of a negative in this situation, because that's only going to grow more negative. If I focus on a positive, it's only going to grow more positive. So they might have looked at me crazy, but, it might have got a laugh out of a couple of people, and it kind of makes things move along. Now you don't have to worry about too much. You kind of shift your focus from how cold it is to something else. And that was one of the major shaping moments, because that led on to the rest of my career, is trying to stay positive about things, trying to dismiss negative thoughts and not to fester too much on the bad things that are going on, and kind of just move past it, right? Like just look at the positive and then grab
Yeah.
onto that and let that grow. And that's what helped me a lot while serving.
All right, man. I like that, man. You made a positive, you made a negative into a positive, but you envision yourself on an island. Is that right?
Yeah, I would tell people it's hot. I'm like, it's like 90 degrees out here.
Yeah, I would be like, bro, what? But nah, yeah, I see your mentality, man. I see your mentality, because I think we hit on the head earlier. Like, if we are beings that our thoughts create our reality. You mentioned The Secret, which I read, which was recommended by you, on top of another book, Laws of Human Nature. I read it. It's a very short book. Took me like 4 hours to read it on Audible, by the way.
Yeah.
You got to just to throw the disclaimer out there. But if we're like mini creators, man, honestly. So if we all have the divine spark inside of us, every single person in this planet, so we can create, not like the higher power create, but we can create the world around us. If you think about it, if our thoughts shape our reality, then we ourselves are mini creators. I told my friend Ben this on last episode, and he agreed. Like, the opportunities, man. Is it coincidence? They say coincidence is where opportunity and luck meet at the same time. But coincidence, sometimes it's too much of a coincidence, man. And you'd be like, whoa, like what's going on here, man? Did I manifest this? Is this really happening to me? Like, all this time I wanted this. Now it's happening. But yeah, man, just to leave our viewers with some like food for thought.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's crazy that you mentioned that. That's called a synchronicity. When
Synchronicity.
when you just feel like you're in the right place at the right time. And it's all tied into your intentions and your thought process. I agree that you can shape your reality with your thoughts. I actually agree that everything that's happening to you, whether it's good or bad, you wanted it to happen, right? Whether you want to admit it or not, you wanted that to happen to you. So that's why it's happening to you. It's kind of like taking accountability for your life, right? Instead of taking the victim mentality, like, this is happening to me, life is happening to me. No, like you're shaping your own life with your thought process, with the way that you see things, with your intentions that you set out. I remember in AIT, I would have moments of synchronicity a lot. Like I would feel like I think I know where I'm at and what's supposed to happen and how things are going, and everything was kind of like falling in line. It felt like I was walking through life instead of life kind of walking on me, if that makes sense.
No, that
Um,
makes sense.
and it was definitely powerful. I do believe in manifesting as well. I do believe that you can attract certain things to you, be it monetary, be it possessions, be it even people. You can attract certain people into your life. They say that that's usually how it works, is that you attract like-minded people into your life. Sometimes you attract other people that need to teach you a lesson or need to show you something, that kind of thing. Like, are they here for a season or not? Are they here for your life in general? But yeah, no, that book was very powerful. Actually, it led on to the next 4 or 5 years of my life, and up to now. Even I got to brush
No,
up on it.
that book is good, brother. It's a short book. It's been around. I think they made a movie out of it too, if I'm not mistaken.
They did. They did.
Yeah. Um, but definitely being in the military, man, really it made me more spiritual, just because of all the adversities that we share as a family, as a group, as soldiers, for sure, man. It made me go dive deeper, not just manifesting, not just mental health, but it made me dive into. I almost want to dare say the occult, right? And that word shouldn't have a negative connotation. It just means like secret stuff, the occult. Like, for example, tarot cards. It made me dive into tarot cards. It made me dive into like using crystals for energy. It made me dive into like, what are soulmates? What are twin flames? What are karmics? You mentioned earlier that some people come into your life for a season. Yeah. Some people come to your life for a season to wreck it, to wreck you, man, to teach you a lesson, like you said. And you got to thank those people, man. You got to thank them. I know
Yeah.
at the time you're like, my gosh, you hurt me. You did all this to me. But go forward. Be like, what's the positive I can take from the situation? How can this make me stronger? And at that time, it's easier said than done, man. You're not going to think like that at the time because you're hurt. You're going through your emotions, whatever. But you make it past that, I promise you, be like, thank you so much for coming into my life, teaching me a lesson. Now I'm not naive anymore. Now I know what flags, if you will, what red flags if to look for in a person, or how to read people in a room. Like, the sketchy. I don't like your energy. You got a bad vibe. It's just you gotta thank those people that come into your life, man, because you gotta think, if we're all one consciousness, like you said, and then they themselves need you in a way, and the vice versa. So
Yep. You
for
teach
sure,
them a
bro,
lesson.
teach them a lesson, not just you. It's not all about us, man, or you or me, or it's about like a whole, the whole thing. We're getting close on time, brother, but any anything that's left unsaid before we go on to the next the last final chapter of this episode?
No, we can move on to the next one.
Okay. All right. This is one of my favorite topics at the end of every episode, man. I'm trying to get into a trend. Book recommendations that have helped us spiritually or on our journey for a better self, better mental health, just better being a better person. Any things you have on top of your head? I know you mentioned The Secret.
Yeah. The Secret. We mentioned also you mentioned The Laws of Human Nature. That's a great book as well. That goes into, you name it, when it comes to the human psyche. The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F. I don't know if I can cuss on it. Can I cuss on it?
I mean, we'll work with it. Yeah, we'll leave it out. But yeah,
Right. I forgot the name of the author, but that was an interesting book. It was an interesting read for sure. That kind of
Mark Manson, brother.
Oh, okay. Mark Manson, right, right. That kind of echoes what I was getting into the gratitude thing. I thought that was a great book as well. And last, I want to mention The Way of the Superior Man. That is also another great book into spirituality and mental health, honestly. just overall integrity and ways of living.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned this by the book by Mark Manson because I have it here with me. That's another good book, and it tells you how to look. Well, it shows you in his point of view how to. Life's too short, honestly. Like, quick question for you, man. Do you remember at this time last year what you're mad about? I don't.
Nah, I don't think I do.
I don't. See, that's what I'm saying. It's like the little events that at that moment it's the most important thing. It makes you mad. It makes you feel some type of way. But then months down the road, like what was I mad about? I don't even know. I don't remember. But no, those are good books, Jeff. Appreciate it. And actually, to reiterate, you recommended me The Secret, and you recommended me The Laws of Human Nature. That Laws of Human Nature is pretty. It took me a while to finish it, but I finished it, and it showed me a lot for sure. Robert Greene.
Yep, Robert Greene. Yep.
Yeah.
It's a long read, but it's well worth it.
Well worth it, man. I got a book here that it got me into Stoicism. It got me into ancient philosophy. The author is Ryan Holiday. I think he actually lives in Austin, Texas. And it's called The Obstacle is the Way. The Obstacle is the Way. The ancient art of turning adversity into advantages. So for me, that book showed me, like I mentioned, you were there for my promotion, which I'm so grateful for you, man. Thank you for coming again. I mentioned I didn't give thanks to my successes. I gave thanks to my failures, man. My failures showed me more than my successes. My failures pretty much shaped the type of leader that I am because now I know I had to hit the floor. I had to fail. And that, thanks to those failures, man, like I said earlier, at that point in time, great. Now I look like trash or whatever, but coming out of it, like, damn, now I know what to do. Now I can help somebody else. Now I can take it from there and make it great. Take a failure. A lot of people, one of my leaders, he said, fail. What does fail mean? As a young specialist, I'm like, I don't know. Fail means you lost, you throw in the towel. He's like, nah, man. Failure is the first attempt and learning. So he pretty much took the letters apart, and every letter means a word. I'm like, okay. So I took that with me for the rest of my career, and I ran with it, man. So that's my recommendation, brother.
Yeah. That's a great way of looking at it. Just learn from all your failures. That's how you learn. That's what you learn from. You don't really learn from your success.
No. But all right, bro. Last Hail Mary, anything you want to say to the audience that we didn't touch on, or?
Nah, but I do want to leave them with this, to just remember the golden rule. Treat people as you would want to be treated. That's all.
Short but simple, man.
Yeah.
All right, brother. I got nothing else. I think it's a great episode 7, and it's just more from here. Look forward to having you in maybe in the future one, man. Maybe you'll have your own. Who knows?
Thank you.
But
Thank you for having.
for sure, Jeff. Appreciate you. Say hi to the fam over there with me. Say hi to the doggos and everybody. I appreciate you guys. You guys been a real good friend group for us. I'm so grateful, brother.
Will do, man. Will do.
All right,
Appreciate
brother.
you.
Yep. I'll see you.